right? Alright. We're just going to throw up the Group B, first game of Group B. It's going to be Attentat versus Nagi-sama. Nothing messed up here. I think it's actually easier to deal with the Marine plus Medic plus Vessel for Zerg. That is fair. I think... Yeah, that's a really good point. Mediocre. So much of Zerg's army does, or late game, or mid game army I should say, like so many of their units do half damage to Marines. Like Sunken Colonies only do 20 to Marines, whereas they do the full 40 to Vultures and Goliaths. So it's a lot easier for Zerg to just build 3 Sunken Colonies and be safe from a mech push. If it doesn't have like a couple of siege tanks with it. Alright, so hopping into Group B. Let me change to the title of the stream. Group B. Done. And we're gonna run right into it. For this game, in the top right corner, right, yeah, of Polyploid, we have Nagi-sama as the green is UED, the green UED Terran, I think. And in the bottom right corner, we have Attentat as the purple Zerg breed. Again, I do not remember. I do not remember which Zerg brood colors are which. But an Overlord is sent right up, which is the technically correct scouting position, and he is going to see Scout Nagi-sama. So these are a very fortunate positions for Attentat and Zerg in this position, although he does still send out the drone scouts, so he is losing a little bit of mining time. This looks like it's a hatch first build from Attentat, so he's a little greedy, and Nagi-sama will see that, so we'll see if Nagi-sama will be comfortable to be greedy himself. Okay. So when you see your opponent is going for something greedy, like a hatch first, fast command center, whatever, you essentially have the option of, am I going to be aggressive with this, or am I going to counter-greed it? And Nagi-sama is choosing to go counter-greed. Well, Attentat, oh, he gets a drone in the main. That's something. Well, Attentat, with their hatchery first, is going to have some Zerglings pop out. And we're probably going to transition to a regular ZVT. Those are the races in this game. Zergling's going to start poking at the Marine. Sunken Colony goes immediately up. And that should scare the SCV away from scouting. Nagi-sama's bunker is going up, so looks like a pretty. Yeah, this is standard TVZ stuff. You just get your bunker up. You have the supply depot walls kind of filling in for a little bit. They'll load up in, and now Nagi-sama is pretty much safe from the Zergling Lendbys. He's getting his factory up, so it looks like Nagi-sama is just going to be going for mech. There's no academy or engineering base, so we're going to see a lot of mech TVZ, I guess. Whereas Attentat is going Spire, so yeah, if Nagi-sama doesn't, I guess he's going to part of Mech is going and getting those Goliaths pretty fast, but he doesn't have and he's not getting the engineering base, so there might be an opening for Attentat's Mutalisks to get some serious damage done. Oh, nope, there's the engineering bay and armory going right up. So, as long as Nagi-sama places the turrets well, he should be safe from, or as safe as a Terran can be from Mutalisk pressure. A few scouting Zerglings are going to run across the map and get summarily executed by a Vulture and 5 Marines. Wow. I think I've predicted everything wrong so far. Sometimes that do be happening, though. So the Vulture just runs into Zerglings and dies. Now there are 6 Mutalisks on the way, so we're going to have to see where Nagi-sama puts his turrets down. Because there are a lot of options for, like, especially along this cliff. Mutalisks pop in. Okay, there's one turret in the natural. Doesn't look like there are any turrets going up in the main just yet. I stand corrected immediately. I need to stop saying things, apparently. Comsat stations are coming up, and oh, here's the Mutalisks. We have 4 Mutalisks right now. 2 more are going to join them later, and they're going to swoop in right as the turret finishes. So once something kind of lucks out, they should be able to get 1 SCV turret, maybe 2. Oh, these guys just fly right over. Yeah. It's 3 SCVs so far. But now, Attentat really needs to run out there. He gets the kill on the turret, it looks like. Oh no. Yeah, so now, Nagi-sama is sort of constructed a flank, but now there's an opening where if the Mutalisks escape down, a lot of SCVs. 1 more dies, 2 more dies. Another one. I'm playing so badly. A Mutalisk goes down, and if he's not careful, another one will go down. He really needs to just get out of there. Mutalisks can take a lot of damage, but they're not invincible. This much SCV damage. This is the game that Hatchery Kid was trying to get to last game. Attentat is getting 4 Mutalisks for, I think, 9 or so SCV kills, isn't it? Alright, it would have been better if he had maybe taken the opportunity, gotten a couple less SCV kills, but kept most of his Mutalisks alive, but I don't know. He's about to come in with 8 Mutalisks, so we'll see how the second wave of mutas, how Nagi-sama deals with that. 2 more Mutalisks flying right across the map. One's retreating. There were no replacement turrets built up in the main, so this is a very exposed mineral line. Nagi-sama's forced to start coming back and trying to defend his SCVs. But the SCVs themselves are very brave, valiant workers. And Attentat, for pointing out, is getting a base. Yeah, so this is going a lot better for Attentat. He's lost 1 Mutalisk so far. Maybe he's going to lose another, but he's killed 7 SCVs in a much more successful attack. And that first attack was already really successful. Behind this, he's getting that 3rd base, which is just a really it's one of those really smart things to do where if you're doing damage to your opponent, make a base. It's a really good habit to get into because usually your opponent is going to be too busy trying to recover. They can't come out and deny the base, and especially when the base is hidden across the map. Like Nagi-sama's attack lines are straight down and then maybe an arc in the middle. Like there's no reason for him to really come over to this edge of the map. And they're now even on workers. So. And here comes the next Muta harass. Let's see, that's 11 Mutalisks, so that we have an Overlord and a control group somewhere. I don't think 1 turret's gonna cut it. They give it 2 shots, and then the turret man burns down. 2 SCVs. Dead so far. 3. Some again, he keeps trying to move out, but he has to keep coming back because he just doesn't have enough turrets to help defend from the Mutalisks on their own. If he's not careful with his units, the Mutalisks can just start swinging in and picking off stuff. This is a... Attentat is starting to macro up. He's getting a lot more drones. But he's still even. Nagi-sama's been getting SCVs, but he's still only even with Attentat. And Attentat's been making so many Mutalisks. You know it's an unfortunate timing when the person who's trying to go mech is still forced to get Marine attack range. Z up in supply. Zerg. God, yep. It's never a good sign when Zerg is up in supply, even if both players are supply blocked at around roughly the same area. Zerg is going to recover from that a lot quicker. Nagi-sama finally gets the move out. Some interesting sunken colony placement. We'll see if who's going to blink first. It looks like Attentat is probably going to be running back with his Mutalisks to help defend. Nagi-sama is going for the push. A really slapped together army of Goliaths and Marines. The Marines really need to come in here first so they'll be able to tank damage for the Goliaths. And it's looking alright for Nagi-sama. Like the push could go worse, but now all these Mutalisks are going to come in. They're going to be able to clear the entire army. I would not be surprised to see a GG. But Nagi-sama does still have a base. It is not over yet, but that is a lot of Mutalisks. That is a campaign A move level of Mutalisks. Alright, and they're just going to come in the best angle possible and start clearing things out of the base. Any upgrades on them? They both have 1-1 compared to these Goliaths 1-0. Yep, it looks like we're just going to run over Nagi-sama. The Zergling flank also puts on as much pressure as possible. Attentat is pretty much has this game in the bag, and it's just a matter of time before these Mutalisks will allow Nagi-sama GG's. It's our first game. Attentat goes up 1-0. Okay, I was gonna say, did he really stay in the game to kill Attentat's base, or Nagi-sama's base? What? That's a Zerg win. Arsenal Zergs are pretty good. On to our next game, which is going to be Attentat versus M153 on Polypoid. See if Attentat is going to be able to keep up their win streak of 1 win so far. Alright, close replay, Crows, unit panel. In the top right corner, we have the reigning current Group B champion. In the hot pink Zerg brood, it is Attentat. And in the top left of Polypoid, we have M153. Just call them M1. As the yellow or mustard. This is the mustard color, not the yellow color. As the mustard flavored Zerg brood in the top left of Polypoid. Attentat immediately sends an Overlord over, and M1 sends an Overlord diagonally. So Attentat is going to scout M1 first, but M1 is going to be able to tell where Attentat is at based on Attentat's Overlord. So we're just going to look for, see if there's any variations in the builds. But it looks like they're both going for Overpool? Or just Overlord? I don't know. Both players playing very similarly, although M1 gets a hatchery in the main while attentat gets his hatchery at the natural. So it is the same build, however I think attentat is slightly, I say slightly, they're very ahead because they have a second mineral line that they can tap into if the game goes that way. Alright, let's take a second, slow down a little bit. Attentat is also getting their spawning pool and extractor, while M1's extractor is a bit delayed here. However, it looks like their spawning pools are on similar times, so it might be that M1 is just going to go for a pure Ling Flood and doesn't want to waste time mining gas. His drone does probably scout the base there. He's going for 3 hatch. Well, this is odd. Attentat is going to be able to get Zergling speed a lot faster. M1 is going to go for gas, so it isn't just going to be a pure Ling Flood. I guess if M1 is able to defend his natural, he is just going to be ahead. But yeah, I've never seen this before. I don't know if there's a Zerg player in chat who can tell me if this is a strategy or if there's what the benefit for doing this 3-hatch play is. Then yeah, I mean, the only thing I could think is that if the game goes super late, you're a bit ahead. But Attentat is able to get their Zerg speed a lot faster. They're going up to lair already. Whereas M1 is just, it seems just a little behind there. Attentat is running straight to the bottom left. Did I miss something? I missed the scout. Oh. I was really confused because your Overlord scouted in the right direction. He must have veered off, like, down at some point. I just missed that. Huh. I mean, I think you're still favored even if your Zerglings initially attacked in the wrong direction, just because it looks like you have more of them. It's going to come down to this opening fight. It looks like M1 gets a pretty decent surround, and now the Sunken is going to go up. So it's going to really probably just be Attentat is going to get his Spire up and then be able to just send them over. Doesn't have his Spire started yet though, and every second he's not getting the Spire, that means that M1 is going to be able to catch up. There it is. Yeah, so if M1 immediately starts his Spire once that lair's done, they'll actually be somewhat even on it, but it looks like M1 is also not building his Spire. Oh, nope. There it is. So the Spire timing, Attentat, who had the huge lead with the lair, is only a couple seconds ahead on the Spire. He's just going pure Ling Flood to try and take out M1, but with the Evo Chamber, the block, if he can get his Zerglings in a line here and prevent Attentat from just running up the ramp, the Sunken Colony should help and pretty much defend this attack, although that is a lot of Zerglings. M1 is even pulling his drones to try and help defend. Even more Zerglings coming, so Attentat might just muscle his way through, and it looks like he is. Zerglings do a lot of damage to basically everything. Once that Sunken goes down, it just becomes a numbers game. Attentat has a lot. Even defending the ramp, there's just too many Zerglings here for Attentat, and M1 is going to get completely run over. There's no Sunken Colony in the main for his drones to kind of rally around. The Zerglings are going to take out the spawning pool, so M1 won't be able to do any more of those guys. Oh wait, actually, is it? Ooh, spawning pool just barely goes down, but we're in sort of the Mutalisk stage of the game. So if N1 just says, yep, I'm making 4 Mutalisks, and we're going to win that way, and he doesn't really need the spawning pool anymore. There's a lot of Zerglings sitting at home, I guess, trying to defend from the counterattack, but with 4 Mutalisks and 2 Scourge, they should be able to get over here a little bit before Attentat's own Mutalisks finish. Oh, wow, yeah, it looks like M1, they didn't quite take the amount of damage that Attentat needed them to in that Zergling attack. I mean, if M1 wants to, they probably could just choose to defend with the Mutalisks, but he's going to fly across. I feel like when Attentat shows that he is going full lean flood, the Mutalisks are going to have to turn around and come back. Because there's no way that M1 can defend this many Zerglings without flyers, but he's going, you know what, no, I am just going to send all my Mutalisks across the map and take the fight to him. There still isn't a sunken in the main, but he could just mineral walk all his drones over to the natural. It looks like he's not doing that. Instead, he's just going to really focus on these Mutalisks trying to take out Attentat stuff. But, I mean, Attentat is reinforcing his Mutalisks. When a Mutalisk pops for Attentat, it's here already. Okay. The Scourge hits have been really good. They've split up their damage really well, but M1 just took a lot of damage in that last Zergling went by. He's just gonna keep trying. I'm not sure what the exact supply is, but we have 4 Mutalisks here for M1 and a lot more here for Attentat. So yeah, it looks like Attentat is going to take the game. Some very nice moving shots, weakening up those Mutalisks, and M1 GG's, and Attentat has taken the next game. So that's 2-0 for Attentat, right? He won game 1? Yeah, he won game 1. So that means Attentat is, at the very least, a tiebreaker contender for Group B. And if they win this third game, then Attentat will, in fact, actually be undisputedly the winner of Group B and is guaranteed to advance. And let's jump right into it. In the top right corner, Attentat in the winner's circle. He's just almost there. He can taste the feeling of not having to play any tiebreakers, the taste of like sweet, sweet victory. And he's gonna lead his Magenta Zerg to victory. Maybe. Standing in his way, in the bottom left corner, is the like steel gray Protoss, NCX, who's taking a break from their BSL, Bombastic Star League climb, to try and get a championship in the RSL. So is this going to be the start of Attentat's loss? I guess it would be the start and the end of his loss, because it would be the last match he plays in Group B. But is this going to be the start of the NCX reign? We'll see. Really standard stuff going down here. We see the basic pylon at the expansion. We're going to see if he goes Forge or Gateway. It is a Forge first, as is standard, although can we please refer to NCX as our hero? It's their preferred pronoun. You got it, my guy. Our hero, NCX. Goes Forge first, which is the standard Protoss opening, although we've seen a lot of Gateway openings. I think we saw a lot of them in the regular RSL season, because it's kind of in style. Like if you've been watching ASL, I'm pretty sure almost every PVC the Protoss have started going Ooh, we see his Zerglings run across the map. The Protoss have started going Gateway first instead of Forge first, because it gives you slightly more options later in the game, but it's a bit unsafe if the Zerg really dedicates to punishing you. Attentat takes their expansion in the third base, I think because NCX was probably denying the drone from getting there, and the drone kind of missed micros and ran out to the middle of the map. NCX is going to get another interruption. Now that hatchery is really far delayed. Some Zerglings are going to run up, but the cannons are already up. However, yep, nope, the probe. Great blocking. The Zerglings are going to have to come in single file. They still get in, but the cannon will take care of it. Although it was very close. If that had been a dedicated Zergling, like, all in, I think NCX would have been in a really tough spot there. We see Attentat's 3 bases coming up, while NCX is going pretty standard stuff. They have their gateway coming up, they have the assimilator, and the Zealot is starting to fill in the gap in the base. Cannons are made out of wet paper. Yep. Cannons are single-ply toilet paper. Like, you use them because you have them, but the quality just isn't there. Here comes the Zealot, who, his first instinct is to go across the map, seeking blood, but NCX has to remind him that this Zealot, he is the door. That was his life, that is his goal in life, and that is his purpose. He is the door. And Attentat, this is, I believe this is just going to be a 3-hatch Hydra, and we're going to see if the bust is going to work and take out NCX. Who's going for Stargate? Love Stargate. Corsairs are great units. So we should be able, using that tech, to get some scouting information and to harass the overlords a little bit. Okay, the first Zealot probe task force is heading out on 3 Zealots, so they're going to try and move across the map, try to get a scout of what the Zerg is doing, and see if they can plan ahead. Although if the Zerglings catch this probe, the probe just barely slides out of the way of Zergling damage as the Zealots start trying to buffer for it, but it slides a little too much, and the Zerglings do get the kill. The Zealots just start moving up. One gets kind of called out and killed early, so we only have 2 Zealots going forward, and it looks like they might just barely just walk right up into the main. Oh, no, he's choosing to fight on the ramp, so he hasn't seen the Hydra yet. But this Zealot is also going to get picked off before the Hydra Den gets spotted. Oh no. However, NCX who's playing Super Standard, he seems to be predicting that the Hydras are coming. He's setting up his second layer of cannons, and he's just getting ready for the bust. Although that is a lot of Zerglings, so Attentat's economy is a little far behind. We'll see how this game progresses. NCX is getting Zealot legs instead of going straight into Templar Archives, so his Storm is going to be a little delayed, and that could be a matter of life or death as these Hydralists start moving out and begin shooting their needles at him. What clued our hero. That is an unfortunate, you hate to see the first Corsair die, not even to Scourge. I think when you're playing Protoss, if you don't scout spires, it's just probably the safest thing to think it's to go, you know, this is probably a Hydra bust and get cannons and stuff. didn't look like he got vision of the Hydra den, but the Hydras are just going to dive straight forward. The Zealots, usually when the Hydras do that, you want to micro the Zealots out to try and like say, okay, even if you're going to kill a couple cannons, these Zealots are going to get a lot of damage, but he's really... The Zerglings make that difficult because the Zealots move out of position, the Zerglings just run in, kill everything, and the Hydras have free reign. So now the Hydralisks are just setting up on the edges, they'll just take pot shots at the buildings, and probably get the forge from the Zealots with speed. They'll be able to take the fight to the Hydralisk. Attentat doesn't pull out, doesn't pull his Hydralisks away quite fast enough, and loses a couple. So, one of the strategies I like doing, or that can work at this level, is just speed Zealots do actually do that much damage to Hydralisks, but you have to be very careful about the micro, and you kind of have to depend on your opponent not playing super well. How many lings? There's only about 5 or 6 lings left. However, earlier there were quite a few more. Unfortunately, is a really scary Hydralisk force starting halfway completed, so it's going to try to best, but these Zealots are pulling overtime and keeping them off and keeping the Zerglings away. Back home, attentat is pretty much just focused on the Hydra best wall. CX is pretty much, he's doing standard pro stuff. He's getting Storm. It looks like he should be able to hold here, although he is going to lose a cannon that does not really unfortunately, he has Storm Research, but there are no Templar here to have the energy to kill the Hydralisks as they move forward. Storm down a lot more gateways, some more pylons, but a little too late on that. Again, there's still no Templar here to actually storm the Hydralisks. So our hero is in a tough spot. But he does get the Dark Templar. Unfortunately, attentat isn't joking around. He's brought his overlords forward to spot the Dark Templar. So this is looking rough. Even as the Dark Templar kind of moves out to try and scare the Hydras away, it will get killed. And the Corsair, there just simply isn't enough Corsairs here to scare the Overlords away. So he's basically going to be relying on these Templar here to pull a lot of legwork. They are still very low on energy, so there's about 20 seconds left before he'll be able to defend this Hydra push, which is just looking scarier every second that attentat adds to it. Templar tries to move out, gets a really nice storm on some hold position archers, and that is enough to scare attentat away. Now that attentat knows that the storms are out, he's like, okay, I'm gonna have to be a bit careful here, and he moves completely far out. Another Templar comes out looking for a good storm position. There's one right here. He finds it there. Gets a Zergling for his trouble. So that is, NCX is really, it's a bit delayed, but now once the storm has kicked in, just the sheer power of Psystorm is going to be enough to scare attentat away. Now the next phase for the Zerg is to go into Lurkers, and the Protoss gets Observers, Dragoons, and the Dragoon range to counteract it. Yep, and there's the Robo. So yeah, looking at a pretty smooth PVZ here now. It was looking pretty scary for NCX there for a second, but for right now, he's in a decent position. He has enough money to expand a bunch, if he so chooses. Let's see what his gateway count is at. 6 gateways. So on 2 bases, you probably won about 8 or 9. Let's see this. The first move out. This is a really deadly for the Zerg, but let's see, we have one couple lurkers morphing, so this Zealot push might not be as scary as NCX is hoping for. Also, Attentat has made a pretty nice arc of Hydralisks here. So as the Zealots push in, the Hydralisks get the surround, and the lurker will pop in just a second and be able to get that consistent damage. However, Attentat only has 1 lurker so far, with a lot more morphing, and Storm can, like, you don't need observers when you can just storm where the lurkers are. But that is a very tricky thing to do. You basically have to watch the spines and be able to pre-predict where they're going to pop. A very nice storm scares the Hydralisk away. Another storm follow-up. Now we have a pair of eggs. The lurkers will come down. These two are surrounded by the Zealots. Aren't going to get the burrow in. So now it just becomes, how are these storms going to match up against here? A lot of storms on the Hydralisk, but a lot of army is out of position, and the Zealots are taking a lot of friendly fire from the storms. Enough that the Zerg will be able to push it back. NCX runs up the ramp to try and maybe get some damage on the third. A couple storms in the middle line will probably do it. Storm on the ramp keeps the Hydralisk, kills a lurker. Maybe having these guys walk into an arc would be good, but the Zealots are real strong and they will tear through a Sun Column. 2 drones died to a side storm. And even though NCX's entire army is kind of sacrificed for this damage, they traded pretty decently. Most of the drones at the third died. They've killed plenty of Hydras and Lurkers. This guy's got storms on him, he throws one out, he kills a bunch, kills another Lurker. I think there's one more storm here, but yeah. Kills another Lurker. Yeah, and Attentat has to send all these Hydras up to try and stop it. They will get the High Templar, and they will pretty easily kill the Archon, doing their full damage to it. NCX, meanwhile, is rebuilding his army, and it's looking pretty scary. Like, I mean, once you have storms, you have Dragoons with range, the Lurkers are going to start being much less of a threat. God, those storms, though. Why do people play races other than Protoss? It's a mystery that I don't think we'll ever quite know the answer to. Unfortunately, I think NCX might be pushing his luck here, because Attentat, he did ultimately lose his entire army in that push, and Attentat is remaxing much faster. But a couple really good storms, and High Templar are a little bit out of position. It's a good number of Hydras. Nice storm. Where's the observer to spot these lurkers? A bit of a doubling up on the storms there. Unfortunately, there isn't a clump of Hydralisks there to kind of those storms to be spread out over. Observer is going to pick off all the lurkers, and now this fight is very heavily NCX favor. The observer does get picked off by the Attentat there. But without any lurkers here, it doesn't really matter. These Dragoons are going to put up one fight. They won't get taken out until Attentat's reinforcements come in. Even then, if NCX just keeps rallying his units up and micros a little bit, he will be able to just clear even a second wave of reinforcements from Attentat. Dragoons retreat to get resupplied by a couple Zealots and some more Dragoons. And yeah. I mean, Attentat's getting stretched a little thin. NCX isn't quite pushing the issue. He's going to come up and around. He's going to prevent this base, actually. because attentat is not in position to defend it, and it doesn't have any self-defense of its own, no sunkens or anything. So this move by NCX should deny this 4th base. And his probe, with it, these probes should set up NCX's own 4th base. I mean, there's looking pretty well defended. There's lots of cannons. Oh, Dragoon has to fight his way out, defeat this traitorous pylon. It's trying to keep his army at bay. Actually, it looks like NCX isn't going to be attacking into the 4th. He's instead... Oh, nope. Never mind. Again, I speak just a couple seconds too soon. It looked like he was trying to defend, but he is going to send it. It should catch some of these sunken colonies right as they're finishing, just before the spore colonies get taken out very quickly before it just kills the observers for free. And now attentat has to push up his own ramp with no template here. Looks like this Hydra's should be able to come up. Oh, wait, hold on. We do have a couple of storms. Let's see where the mother is. Okay. 4 Hydralisks. Another of this group up here gets taken out. Very simple situation. We just have some Dragoons. We're gonna run away. He got the value that he needed. As he is setting up now his 4th base. Attentat having to remake his 4th base. As he just keeps going pure Hydralisks, getting some lurkers mixed in. He's going to start mixing in Zerglings. He's getting his upgrade melee attack and carapace, so they're both trying to transition into a later game composition. Although attentat really needs to get that 4th base and 4th gas up. Who is this? Overlord has speed, but is not dropping anything. It should probably get taken out by these cannons in NCX's 4th. Unfortunately, that was a crucial Overlord in keeping attentat from getting supply blocked. A good lurker spread here. It's very anti-storm, so that is a great play there. So now this base is much more defended from NCX's upcoming push here. Alright, storm comes down, kills a lot of the incoming Zerglings, fights the Hydras off. The Zerglings do get in and start playing over the calls GG. Looks like NCX does in fact end attentat's victory. 3-0. Alright. We'll set up the next game. Which is now, I think it's NCX versus M1 on Circuit Breakers, which is the first non-polyploid map of the Tolerable tier. So we'll see how that goes for them. Also, since we seem to be going through this a bit quicker than we were the other tier, I'll just go ahead and I'll probably have to start shilling that if you want to help cast the games, you can join the open Game 1 voice channel on the RSL Discord. If one of your games is going to get casted today, it would be great for you to hop on and explain, sort of talk through your match with us so we can have a better understanding of what exactly the players were thinking while the games were going on. Also, if you want to just watch the replays, if you want to watch replays, the lobbies are open on the US West server with the game name of RSL Cast and the password of 123. Yeah. Swag, I mean, I know you're in chat, so that means that if these games keep going fast enough, you're gonna have to come in here for Group C, because we need to explain those games. Like, I can't do it on my own. They're too much. With that, we'll probably just go ahead and jump into our next game here. Attentat is looking pretty ready to get out of the game with a 2-1 record so far. So if a player gets a 3-0, I think if NCX does happen to go 3-0, I think it'll be NCX and Attentat making it their way to the winner's circle, but there is still the possibility of a 3-way tie. And then we have to cast 15 tiebreaker games. Before that, we have M1 in the bottom right corner of Circuit Breakers playing the mustard-flavored Zerg Brood. In the bottom left, in the bottom left corner of Circuit Breakers, we have NCX as the Steel Gray Protoss, the Zerg Killer. We're going to see how this game goes, whether NCX is going to take such good, as many good trades as NCX did in our last series, or if M153 is going to be able to put a stop to the Protoss extermination efforts. The Circuit Breakers trick is happening, so NCX should see the Overlord as it is passing by the third base here. Or he's just going to scout the main. I try something really dumb this game. Good. Let's go ahead and speed up the first 3 minutes. As is stated, so NCX, it is the gateway expand. So even though they didn't do the scout trick for the catch the Overlord here, they did get lucky and scouted M1's main base. M1 is going hatchery first, which apparently is favored against gateway pressure, so that is something. So NCX goes gateway forge and is probably going to get their Nexus behind this, maybe around 21 to 23 supply. NCX, do you try to cannon rush? What? And you, what? But. Ah, yes. The famous delayed 2-gate rush. Well, that's not good. I mean, 2 gates? Nah. I only do delayed 2-gate timings. Well, that was a 400 mineral investment. 500 mineral investment. But M1 does let 2 zealots get into the main base. So, you know, potatoes, however you say it. Cannon's up at the natural with a decent wall, so he's kind of safe from the Zerglings, but like, yeah, the Zerglings only have to kill the pylon, and then they can come back and defend the zealot pressure. I think they NCX got 1 drone, might get 2 drones, so could be a lot worse. Could be a lot better. Could be a lot worse too. Huh. Well, I mean, if you don't die immediately to the Zergling Flood, then, I mean, you're not dead yet. However, you're even on workers and behind in supply against a Zerg player, and that's never a great position to be in. Imagine a lot more cannons are starting to get thrown down here. Not quite. Just wall the Zerglings just run right up into the main. Again, never a great position. There is not a cannon building here, so there are no defenses. The Zealot just now is going to get finished, so they're going to be able to run around and get some good damage in. Probably kill a couple probes. Oh, if they get the pilot. Okay, looks like he wants to target on the side of that core. Changes it to probes. Cannon's going up in the main now. So as long as NCX doesn't take insane damage here, it will be possible. However, he does need to stop the Zerglings from killing the Cybernetics core. They're getting dangerously close. The probes pull back to try to defend, but then the Zerglings just get to fight the probes. The Zealot's on his way. That Cybernetics core is taking a lot of damage. Behind this, M1 is getting a layer. So, no. Okay, it looks like just barely NCX is going to defend his core from being destroyed. If the core died, then he would have been insanely far behind. But with the layer, I mean, we're going to see if M1 goes Spire or Hydra Den behind this. I would expect to see a Spire, just because Mulisks in this position could be pretty deadly. You know, they could just fly right into the main, finish off the Cybernetics core. I mean, there's still a cannon here, but how much can that actually do? The Citadel of Adun is being made in the expansion. Oh, man. And the single Zergling is getting all the scouting information that it wants. The insane range of diagonal cannons kills the final Zergling. I'm going to see where M1 goes from here. They're floating a lot of minerals, so unfortunately it does seem like maybe they were a little preoccupied trying to micro their Zerglings around, which is always a trap that players can fall in at this level, where you don't really have the APM to both micro really well, your units really well, and macro, and it can be really hard to decide which one's more important at the moment. M1's getting their third base, their Spire's just now going up, the Templar Archives is just now starting. No, the Templar Archives finished. What building is this? Is this another gateway? Yes, okay. This Templar Archives is finished. So, fortunately, High Templar are good, but if M1 just goes mass mutas, High Templar are going to be... Without Corsairs, it's really hard to defend that. Plus, there's only one cannon in the main, so there really isn't a cannon protecting the mineral line here. So, a lot of mutas are still scary. NCX is going for Dark Templar, as any good Protoss does whenever they feel they might be behind. And with M1's Overlords kind of spread out, there's no static defense to try and scare the Dark Templar away. There's a lot of damage that could be coming in down from those DTs. Oh, in fact, the DT's playing defense and completely killing M1's Zergling. And with the one shot of the Dark Templar, if M1 isn't looking for it, then they won't even know their Zerglings are gone. Oh, this DT just barely skirts right under the Overlord's sight range. So still, M1 still has no idea. And they're going Scourge. They're getting a lot of drones, though. They're droning up very heavily, and NCX isn't really being aggressive here. The DT is just now coming in. There is an Overlord here to see it, but there's really nothing here to defend. A Mutalisk just popped. So, I mean, Mutalisk, it's like Mutalisk versus Zealots. How long does it take a Mutalisk to kill a Zealot? That DT, 13 kills. Now, 6 of those were Zerglings, or 6 or 7 were Zerglings. But there's about 6 drones killed by the DT alone. Now these Mutalisks are going to fly over, and NCX just has a High Templar here. But he is getting the cannons in the main and natural, so it really just comes down to they really need to come in here, pick off that cannon, pick off this cannon, but M1's trying to find an angle where there aren't cannons. When really Mutalisks are kind of like Zerglings, where at a certain amount, like, if there aren't a lot of cannons, the Mutalisks can't just tear through. Using a lot of good throw damage here, almost probably completely clear natural cannon now that the cannons are up, the Mutalisks are going to have to choose to fight or run. They're going to choose to run. Dive in a little bit, playing a little Zerg versus Terran here. But it's a much riskier game because cannons do not do explosive damage, so it only takes 6... No, wait, that's not the right button. Where are the Mutalisks? They have 120 health, right? Yeah, so it takes 7 shots for a cannon. Oh! NCX Zealot runs right into the Zerg main, scares all the drones out, and I mean, he's gonna go straight for the Spire. He's gonna get it. He's not even getting the spawning pool before M1 is able to defend this. Archon coming in. They're hitting right as M1's trying to transition into a Hydra army. Or if you target down the spawning pool, it'd be a lot better than killing these Zerglings, but they might just be on like an attack. A couple Zealots after they kill the Zerglings, they do try to go for it, but it's a bit unfocused and they get spread up. Yeah, that spawning pool could have been everything would look like if I just played Standard. I mean, my run by was pretty good. You always hate to see the Archons morphing in response to Mutalisks, because Archons do beat Mutalisks in a fight. Oh, the SimCity dude, which is not to kill his own cannon. Archons do beat Mutalisks in a fight, but that means they have to actually get up to the Mutalisks. I see where N6 takes this army. It looks like pretty much all of M1's bases are really easily defended, and now the Mutalisks are coming in for the counter harass to prepare time for the Hydra army to build up and to get all his upgrades. It looks like he is going just at the main base. But he sees the Zerglings coming from the top. That might tip him off that there's bases up here. And if he comes down, I mean, there are only 2 Sunkens here and not really many other fighting units. The Mutalisks might have to retreat to try and defend, or the Hydralisks are going to have to come up and flank. Either way, these Sunkens are going to die and probably take a lot of drones with them. Some Hydralisks just now popped, but again, 1 or 2 Hydralisks against a Zealot Archon army is not going to win the fight. So let's try to get in on the fight. Hydralisk should clear this up. It looks like N6 is... Oh, no. That is not what you want to be doing with your Mutalisks. So many Mutalisks get taken by the splash shot, but M1 should be able to clear this with the Hydralisks that are remaining, and he should be able to save his base from just straight up dying. Again, he's just throwing away all of his Mutalisks, and that Archon is doing so much work. I mean, I think I said this last game, but I need to reiterate. Why do people play races other than Chaos? The Archon finally dies, and M1 builds a bunch more drones to replace the ones he lost. He transfers over some more, and NCX is doing a lot of pretty good damage. Fortunately, he didn't actually get the hatcheries. He only took things that could be replaced, like the sunken colonies, like the Hydra army. And M1 is just still fully online. And now, as the Hydralisks are getting fully upgraded, we're going to probably see some more amazing storms from the NCX Templars. they're both transferring over to the standard PvZ mid-game after what was the weirdest opening I think we've seen so far in the RSL with the delayed 2-gate. M1 is getting the lurker upgrades, and NCX is getting their Robo and Dragoon upgrades. So, it's a great play by M1, sending the Hydralisk over here to spot for when NCX tries to take his third gas base. Now M1's going to try to move out. Let's see what the upgrades on these Hydras are. They're 1-1 versus 0-1, so it is looking alright upgrade-wise. However, with the huge Zealot High Templar army, the Zerg probably needs to be way ahead in upgrades for the Hydralisks to really be able to fight them off. Ooh, might get some pickoffs on the High Templar. See if he gets one. That's huge. Baits a Storm out. Doesn't really do a lot of damage. Also, he baits another Storm out, gets the High Templar that's did it. For 5 Hydralisks, that's a pretty great trade here from M1. He's reconstructing his Spire now. It's always good to have sort of the threat that you'll do the Spire transition. So if NCX tries to pull the trigger, since all his units down, the Hydralisk will be able to come up from the flank and start hitting the Templar. The Templar will safely get to the ground area before the Hydralisk on the high ground are able to get there. We actually have reverse high ground damage here. The Hydras have been trying to move around, but the Templar win. Actually, this fight, the Storms have been good, but the fight has not. The Zealots are getting shredded. They are taking out a lot of drones, but M1 definitely that battle went a lot better for them this time. And with these Dragoons filtering in, trying to help, they're just going to be really easily taken care of. M1 again placing some more Hydralisks at NCX's natural base, is keeping him contained on that 2 base, because if he tries to just send a probe alone, it will get killed. NCX's base macro, however, is much better this game. There's plenty of gateways here to keep his macro alive. One, a small Hydra force is going to get caught out, and one tries to move to a lurker, but it looks like the little Hydra task force down here just isn't going to be able to clear them, and they're going to have to morph the lurker to try and survive. More Hydras are going to come in and reinforce. They should clear up the Zealots and keep these eggs safe. Oh, that's a really good... Are you kidding me? Hero egg right there. Also, how do I need to ban somebody? Where? Hell out of here. Alright, what were we doing? Okay. Someone is going for the bust now. Looking like it might work, but I don't know, yeah, it just... He needs a lot more Hydralisks to buffer for the lurkers here. However, it doesn't look like NCX has an observer out to spot for them. One is on the way, but seeing a lot of spine damage. The Hydras are coming in, and the M1 just has as many resources as they want. Just not ready for the donate 500 minerals early game meta. True. It's like you build a failed 2-gate, and then they build a hatchery in your like outside your natural. Just donate to each other. It's all about the mind games. Unfortunately, the mind games are looking like M1 supply is pretty good. Is this a storm drop from NCX running across the map? It might have been a probe. He's going to start trying to storm out these lurkers, however, 4 health left. The please pause from NCX. Oh, some things. Wait, did the storm? Oh. We missed the RAP storm drop. Unfortunate. I was too busy watching Hydralisks shoot at the arrays. But yeah, this is a good play, having the Scourge there, so we're going to fancy try something again. Ooh, a really nice storm. 2 really good storms. Scare the Hydralisks away. It's going to have to run back and turn into a Lurker to save itself from the shame. Is this a... That is not a drone, but yeah, everyone is playing really smart and sending like a unit out to each base to make sure that NCX isn't expanding out. The High Templar come out to try to get storms, but the one does get picked off. And the Dragoons aggro out and get taken out by the Lurkers. Some Mutalisks have been mixed in here. Just to really threaten NCX's like, because again, having that constant omnipresent threat of the Mutalisk switch of like just Ogre Zerg gaming mass muta, the amazing storms really keeping NCX in the game here. He's pushing out, putting damage on the Lurker eggs. Got one. Mutalisk aggro's and dies. Zealot aggro's out and dies. There's a bit of a mismicro on the High Templar as they face their glorious death. Another one gets picked off. The storm goes down, gets a couple of Hydralisks, Zealot. Another huge storm, but he micros forward instead of back. Micros into the storm a little bit, and unfortunately, this looks like a great trade for M1 here. Unfortunately, NCX does not have a third base, and he is out of minerals, calls the GG, and NCX has now gone 1-1 in games for Group B. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and set up the next game. However, I'm going to take a very short break. Our next game will be M1 versus Nagi. Nagi-sama. We're going to take a very quick, maybe 3 to 5 minute break here, and be right back. Of course, if you're listening to this and you want to also cast, you can join the and you're on the RSL Discord. It is the Game 1 voice channel, if you'd also like to help cast. If you'd like to just watch the replays, the lobbies are open on US West. The game name RSL Cast. Password is 123. We'll be back in about, let's say, 3 to 5 minutes. Okay. We're getting back into it. Yeah, so we should be coming up on NCX versus... No, wait, no, we just did NCX versus M1. I'm not sure who this is. Oh, this is NCX versus Nagi-sama. That's right. Game 5 of Group B. Yeah. Just go ahead and hop right into it, I guess. No time like the present, so... Alright, and again, if you want to help cast or just want to talk about StarCraft or hang out, you can join the Game 1 voice server on the ISL Discord. Watch some games, have a good time, or if you want to watch the replay yourself, you can join the replay lobby as it's hosted, or just watch from Twitch, chat. It's great. It's just enjoying StarCraft at the end of the day. Not swag. I've seen you in chat, so I know you're here. I'm fully expecting you to come in and help me explain Group C and that whole insanity. I'm gonna drag Hangs in as well, kicking and streaming to just justify what we did there. But that's for later. For right now, we have M1 just hot off the heels of a victory against NCX. In the top right corner, Polyvoid playing the yellow Zerg Brood, and in the bottom right corner, we have Nagi-sama, who did something. We have Nagi-sama, who I believe lost to the attentat with a mech build, so we'll see how this game plays out. It's looking pretty standard so far. We have the basic expansion. We'll probably see the bunker go up right sort of in the middle. I believe, yep, so there's the bunker. He has the Marines out there to defend, so yep, M1 is going into lair, so probably see Mutalisks right after that. And yeah. Warning coming out. Some Zerglings approaching. See if, yep, no, someone's just gonna run up, see the bunker, see the Marines, and run out. Nagi-sama fills the bunker with Marines, really safe, and we'll see if this SCV is gonna be able to get any quality scouting information. He should be able to run up in here, although M1 is blocking the ramp now with 2 Zerglings. So, will the SCV be able to wiggle his way through? No, and he should be able to escape, but so just, man. StarCraft's a weird game. Sometimes workers just won't die. The Spire is coming up, and yep, Nagi-sama is going to mech this game as well. So we'll see if Nagi-sama is going to be able to make a good push across the map and take out M1, or if we're going to see a repeat of their game versus attentat, where they just take a lot of damage. Can't quite get their economy up. Spire's just about to be completed, and the M1 is going to have their 600 to be able to immediately start making the 6 Mutalisks off of their 2 bases. Nagi-sama is getting his armory up. to start going into Goliaths as soon as possible. See that the Zerg's gonna catch the Vulture. They try, but the Vulture just barely gets out, so Nagisama's gonna be able to get some clutch repairs on that Vulture. Let's see where M1... Yeah, they're just gonna run around the map. Mutalisks have started popping out, so they should be very soon running across the map to try and get some SCV damage. See where Nagisama's defenses are at. I don't see an engineering bay. I think... Oh yeah, he hasn't gotten the engineering bay, which means that he's going to be relying solely on his Goliaths and Marines to fight off the Mutalisks, but M1 is playing very cautiously. The Vultures are running across the map, and there's no sunken colonies to defend, so the Mutalisks have to come back to defend against the Vultures. And that gives Nagisama just enough time. Apparently there was an engineering base somewhere. Oh, I sweat. Listen, I don't... I'm blind sometimes. I didn't see any turrets and I was like, ah yes, no one's however, that's a lot of Mutalisks. Turrets are going up, and it looks like the Marines and the turrets combined should scare the Mutalisks away. It's possible a fight could have happened, but Nagi is on top of the repairs. Mutalisks aren't going to let up. They're going to try to do as much damage as possible to get a Marine. Did get a couple Goliaths, so let's see how this plays out. Isn't quite getting shots off with his Mutavolleys, but he's getting his third base in the 12th position, so this is looking somewhat similar to the attentat game, where Nagisama is just kind of defending on his base. However, he's gotten quite a bit more turrets, so he's much safer from this Mutalisk harass. Gosh, if Mutalisks aren't just the most durable unit in the game in this matchup, so many of them are so close to dying that they still haven't died. But, yeah, he's just going to keep refilling the Mutalisk count and go back in for another swing. There are now a complete field of turrets here. A scan goes off, he scans the main. Mutalisks off of the bottom from the looks of it, but one will go down, there's another one, two go down. Marine and Goliath, not much else. That was not a great dive there for M3. Let's see what Nagisama saw. So Nagisama scanned the main. It's not even 10 hours in, just listen. They scanned the main and all they saw were the spire, and I mean that's pretty much it, so they didn't get a lot of information. M1 is getting another layer in his natural, which he might be trying to make his natural into his hive for later, which is definitely a strategy because he'll have a lot more health and be more durable against pushes. Swings at just the right time to kick off a wandering Goliath. He's gonna have to run off another Goliath count. He's getting scared, but he's gonna have to start respecting it. Sends a injured Mutalisk home and sends the rest, looks like 7 remaining, are going to try and maybe get some more work done. This turret is dangerously close to being on fire, so maybe one swing in, shoot it, and then run out. Might kill it. He wants to kick off the Goliath. He's taking a lot of shots, none of them die though, so he's picking off things here and there, and it's working really well for him. I'm not really sure what M1's exit strategy is here. They haven't gotten their Queen's Nest, so they aren't able to get to their lair. I mean, they have 31 drones, which for Zerg is kind of okay. It's not great. They're still 13 behind the Terran. Another fresh batch of Mutalisks come in and are going to replace the ones that were very damaged. They're going to the edge. Okay, Nagisama's going for the same really strange, like, Marine medic or hemorrhaging some Mutalisks out, and they haven't really been getting the insane damage that attentat was able to in that game. +1 attack here on the way, +1 attack here on the way for M1. So their Mulus will be 1-1, so pretty decent upgrades, and they're going to be very durable against the Goliath fire. Unfortunately, there are no sunken colonies at the natural to defend it. There are 2 in the third base, well, about to be 2 in the third base as soon as M1 starts morphing them, but without any sunken colonies to kind of do insane damage to the Goliaths, this push from Nagi is looking like nuts. It looks like some of the wings are first, some Mutalisks are going to pick off some of the attacking force. They're getting a couple more units, but the Goliath just barely doesn't die. Looks like most of the Mutalisks for M1 are at their base, ready to defend. Which means that they probably should be able to defend, so Zergans not Mutalisks tank for them, and vice versa. Yeah, so this fight, they clear kind of the initial force, but then the reinforcements from outside to clear DPS on the Goliaths and units just completely slaughtered the range of this force. So now the Zerg supply is less than half of Nagi-sama's. Calls the G machine, but now Nagi-sama takes the game. What our score was going into this. M1 is... What are our names here? Attentat 1-2. And then lost to NCX. NCX lost to M1. Then M1 lost to Nagi. So this final fight, probably want to turn game sound down a little bit or your mic up more, can't hear you during battles. Alright, I will do that during the next replay. But it looks like whoever the winner is between Nagi and NCX is going to be the person who advances, because they will have 2 wins. And as we go into this next thing, we're going to lower the in-game volume a little bit to hopefully make casting sound a bit better. Oh, hold on. Alright, turn the replay off, turn off the unit panel. Okay. Options. Sound. Turn that digital volume down about right there is probably fine. Yeah, so this is the final match, and it is going to be a decider match of who advances into the next round. Will be our bottom right Olive Protoss player NCX, or will be our bottom left brown Terran player Nagi-sama. This one is for all the marbles. But it actually might not be, because I'm not sure what order these players actually played their games. But from our narrative standpoint, this one is the decider match. I don't like Polypoid. I've seen a lot of people say, you know what, Polypoid's one of the better maps. I don't like it. I've never won a single PvT on this map. I've never won a single PvP on this map, so I just don't like it. I won't even play PvT on this map. We'll see what our players decide to do. Nagi-sama sort of sets his buildings up in an anti-zealot fashion, while NCX doesn't look like they're going to be very aggressive. I mean, the gateway's almost as far back in their main as it can be. Oh wait, hold on. NCX is our hero. Because Nagi-sama are our villain. So this is going to be an intense game of good versus evil. And NCX, in classic hero fashion, is going to scout Nagi-sama last. Well, Nagi-sama is also probably going to scout NCX last. He might see the probe here and be like, ah yes, he's in the top right corner. I forgot to speed up the game in the first 3 minutes, so we're just going to speed up the next couple minutes until around like maybe 4, since this looks like a pretty standard game. Nothing too crazy happening. The probe gets into the Terran's main base, and the Marine isn't going to... single Marine isn't going to be able to fight it off. In fact, actually, NCX might be able to get his probe out. So not only is NCX this game's hero, but this probe is a hero probe. Nope, never mind, actually. The probe valiantly is sacrificing its life and hit points to get complete scouting on Nagi-sama's base. Unless it dies. Small pickup here as Nagi-sama begins to construct his... oh my god, hold on. How did we miss this? NCX, explain yourself. What are you doing? What are you doing, man? We'll have to cut back into regular time now because NCX, I almost completely missed that NCX is making a robo at Nagi-sama's third base. Is this going to be a slow Reaver push versus Terran? I'm so confused. So let's see, maybe it's just a proxy Reaver drop. So there's the shuttle, and we'll probably see the robotics bay go up pretty shortly. I don't think NCX still hasn't really gotten a good scout on Nagi-sama. Marine runs across the map to try to find it, but the Dragoon does catch it and will kill him before he is able to go and tell his base. I'm doing a build designed to draw the forces into the main while I break the bunker with mass goons. Luckily, no one could forget the attack move command on the Dragoons. Okay, well that is absolutely an interesting thing. So you build the Reaver and then you kind of distract the Terran into pulling his siege tanks back to kill it, and then you pounce on the bunker with a bunch of Dragoons. Alright, that sounds like a really interesting... It makes sense on paper, so let's see how it plays out. The Dragoon force at the main is slowly building up, but Nagi-sama does get the scout on the base, and he sees... He's probably wondering where your tech is. It's so late in the game. And... yeah, see, he puts the turret up in the natural. There's no turret in the main yet. But the Reaver's just about to come out, which means that the... extra Dragoon force... Oh, also, Nagi-sama doesn't have the correct amount of SCVs building the bunker. The siege tank is going to try to push the Dragoons out. But... they're putting a lot of pressure out on the bunker and the engineering bay. Okay, so he's repairing the engineering bay. Now we're going to see what this Reaver drop is going to do. Let's use the big zoomed out. Here we go. So we can see into the main... Can I turn the minimap off? Yeah. So we have our Dragoons out on the natural up here as the Reaver is coming in, and we'll see how much damage the Reaver gets. Okay, so we have 1 dud. 2 dud. How is Nagi-sama responding? The tank hasn't pulled back yet. He's playing it really cool, actually, which is probably the absolute counter to what this build is doing. He's not moving his tank forward, like, back to help defend. The Dragoons aren't, like, don't really have the opportunity to come forward and smack the bunker, although now the shuttle's really badly damaged. And... I'm not entirely sure how much damage the Reaver actually did. It'd be kind of hard to tell. He gets 2 vultures, and it looks like it's going to be able to get the Marines as well. So it is outputting. It is doing a lot, but it hasn't really gotten any SCV kills. And the Dragoons kind of just been filtering in and getting shot by the tank. However, Nagi-sama has been completely zoned out of his base. To mess it up, you have to walk the shuttle into a turret and forget to attack with the Dragoons. Well, you almost got that first half correct, but unfortunately you have not messed up and sent the Dragoons into a siege tank yet. Tank finally starts to pull back to maybe fight the Reaver, but it's just going to continue. Okay, Nagi-sama is going to try to slow push turrets into his own main to try and kill this Reaver. The tank is going to come out and get killed by it. Oh, an amazing pickup there. Saves the Reaver. It's going to get one more shot off on the tank and kill it. What? This is insane. Like, the Reaver is running out of targets. It finally gets killed by a tank, but it almost ran out of targets and just said, you know what, the refinery is a good enough target for me. So that is a lot of lost mining time because of how oversaturated the natural was, and now there's a lot of Dragoons here. Are you just going to start shuttling Dragoons into the main bake? Because it would be hilarious if you just started, like, picking Dragoons up and just laid them here, and then 5 Dragoons walked out of the shadows. Let's get that mini-map back, though. Alright, so you picked up another Reaver and Dragoon. However, there is a turret here this time. But the shield, the regenerating shields, are not enough to save the Dragoon. But the Reaver is able to get at least 3 kills there. 4. Siege tanks do take it out. 10 goons versus 1 tank. Who would win? The tank every time. So NCX is just now getting their expansion up. However, with the harassment they've been doing, they are still even on probes, and their supply count is way ahead in terms of just army supply. As NCX is having to get his boys to begin repairing his infrastructure. Like the mine at the 3rd base. And he's probably going to put a mine here as well to scout for when NCX tries to make his way into a 3rd and 4th base. Okay, a scouting SCV gets taken out, so that turret will not be able to be built up here. And Nagi-sama is just going to be able to start mech pushing across the map. Speed up the rest of the game. I stopped playing at this point. Your APM differs on that. Let's see, what is the speed shuttle containing? It is going to pick up some Dragoons probably and bring them towards the main base. Nagi-sama's getting his 3rd construction. He's going to start floating. Once he pushes NCX off of the map, he's going to be able to start flying that command center over. That's just my face hitting the keyboard. Oh, you do take out the barracks, which is very nice because now Nagi-sama will be stuck on 3 factories until he gets that rebuilt. Let's see. The Dragoon count is really healthy, and now you're starting to mix in the Zealots, which is always good to see. They'll be able to really tank those siege tank shots. Unfortunately, you do need to maybe try and get... Oh, you know, I see. Your 3rd is coming up now. So, if you're able to hold out on this ridge for just a bit longer, your 3rd should be done before Nagi-sama's is online and operational. Okay, the scout up here to see if there's a 4th, or a hidden, I guess a pseudo-hidden 3rd in that direction. Let's see. It looks like NCX is having a bit of a time. Maybe they're thinking real hard, deciding what tech tree they're going to be going down, because they are floating a lot of gas, and their gateway count isn't very healthy. Like, it's only 4 gateways on 2 like, semi-fully operational bases. Their 3rd, however, should start finishing, and they'll be able to have a lot of income coming in and be able to start building up those gateway count. Oh, I'm sorry, there are 5 gateways here. I forgot the very first one was tucked away in the corner. Ooh. Goliaths pick off the observer. So the Bruins are going to have to retreat a little bit. Nagi-sama's just going to continue slow pushing up. It actually looks like the command center is going to be floating towards the 9 o'clock position instead of the mineral only. But the tank push is going to scare the Dragoons off. Fortunately, does need to get an observer over here so that the probe can kill the spider mine. With the 3rd base up, we'll probably be seeing a probe transfer or just more probes in production. It's kind of stalled around the 40 mark. And it's instead been shifted mostly to focusing on the army supply. The Citadel of Dune is coming down, so we're going into Templar tech. We might be seeing Arbiters, and Nagi-sama is going into pretty standard like PVT stuff. The armory is coming up, or the 2nd armory is coming up, so now they'll be able to get their upgrades on probably about the right time. So they're about to have +2 attack, and once the 2nd armory is up, they're going to be at the dreaded 2-1 upgrade threshold, which is really the breaking point where Terran starts taking control of the game with just how absolutely insane a fully powered mech army is versus Protoss. A Vulture run by is going to scout the proxy Robo, which means that NCX might have to end up making another one in his main in order to keep his observer production operational, so that he can keep scouting the spider mines. He does just barely save it, though losing the pylon would have been very annoying, because he'd have to send a whole ass probe out there to repower it. Okay, Nagi-sama's playing a very patient game, and as is NCX. NCX isn't trying to like pull any triggers and force any fights, but it is giving Nagi-sama a lot of opportunities to run his vultures around, and it looks like they might even be able to get the cancel or denial of the Protoss 5th base. Unfortunate spider mine. So vultures run right up into the main. They don't see any Protoss attempts at building, and once this cannon finishes, the Pro should be able to... Oh, okay. So Nagi-sama doesn't... He just scouts the base. He's like, I'm not going to try and fight it. I'm just going to let that be, I guess. He probably didn't see the probe and just decided, I'm just going to plant some more mines and run out. As NCX develops some more cannons to keep it protected from stuff like that happening. Fortunately, with no air weapons, okay, so we're going to be seeing carriers. Okay, another forge gets put down. Seems like Nagi-sama has been hit with, or an NCX has been hit with a very unfortunate case of decision paralysis. They went for the Citadel of Doom, but they haven't gone fully into Templar tech. They're getting air weapons, but they don't have a Stargate out. This can happen a lot of sometimes, where it's just like you are so unsure. Like, it's really hard to be like, hey, what am I going to make? And then you just kind of make a little bit of everything. It doesn't work out because 5 vultures run into your 4th base and kill 10 probes. Frees up more supply for tanks, because that is what Nagi-sama needs. If they have their science vessels, EMP is just about finished researching, so they're going to be fully defended from that. But here comes the Stargate and the Templar Archives. So we're going to see 3 Stargate. Question is this going to be carrier, or are they going to use the Templar Archives and get Arbiters instead? We see plasma shields being upgraded, which makes me think that maybe they are going, that N6 is going to go carriers, because the plasma shields is kind of just like an extra thing of armor. So if you're busy making the air weapons upgrade, the plasma shields can kind of be like, hey, it is some extra defense. It's not great defense, but it is extra. The tanks do the traditional Terran dance of siege and then unsiege and then move. And it looks like we're almost getting ready for a big fight in the middle. The Stargates have just finished for NCX, so I'm going to watch to see if they get the Arbiter Tribunal or the Fleet Beacon. But yeah, this army layout, NCX just needs to run away, or else all of these Dragoons are going to just get eaten for free by this massive tank army. No thank you. That is too many goddamn tanks. You would think so. But unfortunately, Terran just kind of gets to do that. We have a Zealot bomb in the shuttle looking to go out to maybe try and drop onto the back tank line. However, a lot of tanks have been unsieged now, so the Zealots will not be quite as effective. Okay, and it is the Fleet Beacon. It's almost done, so if NCX could just hold on long enough for the carrier production to get out, there are only 2 Goliaths. And I'm pretty sure, if my math serves me correctly, carriers making 3 at a time will beat 2 Goliaths. Kind of a failed flank here throws a lot of Dragoons at the problem, but just the siege tank line is too powerful and kills the Dragoons before they're able to chew through the Vulture, like, meat shield. Well, that's just funny. Just expand next to your opponent's Robo Bay. Obviously. Did you guys play StarCraft before? Yeah, the carriers are on their way, however they're only halfway completed, and then you also have to consider that it takes almost double that time for the carrier to fully produce their interceptors. Which I don't think I've seen the interceptor upgrade being made at the Fleet Beacon yet, so it may be possible that oh, actually no, a huge Goliath reinforcement is going to make the carrier count a lot more fragile than it would be otherwise. And with a science vessel here to throw down defense matrices and an EMP on those carriers when they come up, it is definitely not going to look good. NCX in his haste builds a Corsair on accident. However, maybe if he gets the disruption web, he'll be able to nullify these tank shots. The carriers are in position to defend the mineral only, and the Goliath count has been getting reduced steadily, so NCX might be able to completely fight off this fight if he focuses down on taking out this small Goliath force first. Nagi is only making vultures behind this, so if the carriers can kill just these 7 Goliaths. Oh, the EMP lands, nukes the carriers, takes off like what, half their health, right? About a third of their health. Fortunately, looks like with the EMP, the Goliaths are going to put out a lot of damage, take the carriers out. The Corsair is going to harass the science vessel, but ultimately get taken out as well. Looks like the third mineral only is going from NCX is going to fall, but he still has a lot of bases. It's mostly a positional disadvantage now. He still has enough bases to be able to have a really healthy economy. The problem is Nagi-sama is just right outside his door, and if he busts through the natural, then all of his infrastructure is going to get destroyed. He also, it looks like he lost the first 3 carriers, which means that now when the next round comes out, instead of having 6 carriers, he's only going to have 3. And he calls the GG. Nagi-sama takes it and advances into the regular tolerable tier tournament. But NCX will have a comeback in the losers